Pentecost. Pentecost in Greek means 50th. It is the Hebrews also had a word for this, which I won't bother you with, but it was an Old Testament feast. Pentecost was 50 days after Passover. It was a day of the full ingathering of the harvest. It was also, it became, in Jewish history, it became a day for emphasizing the covenant. It was a day for covenant renewal. On Pentecost, they often waved palm branches in honor of the Lord. It was a glorious feast, the feast when they celebrated God has established a covenant with us. Now, St. Luke in his writings organizes things in a time frame. In 40 days after Easter, which was given in the time for in Jewish history for learning a master's thing so that you would be equivalent to him, that was Ascension. 50 days after Easter, not just the old covenant, but a new covenant. And what is this new covenant? The Holy Spirit comes upon the apostles. Luke describes it as they're gathered in this room, kind of scared out of their wits, and suddenly the room shakes, and there's noise, and there are parted tongues of fire that descend upon them, and they are speaking in tongues. Now, what does that mean? Well, maybe they're speaking their own language, but people are hearing them in their own tongues. That seems to be what Luke intends in Acts of the Apostles. And they're also so caught up in ecstasy that maybe they're just having a holy babbling, which is a glossolalia, or the speaking in tongues. We have to separate those two miracles, the one by which everybody heard in their own language the wonderful works of God, and the one where they're just in such ecstasy they cannot express themselves in their own language. At any rate, the Holy Spirit descends. What does this mean? Now, first of all, Jesus in John's Gospel said that the Spirit of truth, when he comes, will teach you all things. He'll call to mind everything that I have told you. So this coming of the Spirit is we say the birthday of the church. It's the beginning or the inauguration of this new covenant in Jesus Christ. And it means that everything Jesus says is true. The Holy Spirit is going to make sure that this church, this community of faith, regardless of the incompetence of the personnel, it is always going to proclaim his truth. That's what we call the infallibility of the church. And it's always going to remain his. He's going to be with it. So the Holy Spirit guarantees the authentic message of Christ. And a little bit more there. Pentecost means, of course, we ourselves share in the Holy Spirit. Each one of us receives the Holy Spirit in our baptism, and especially in the sacrament of confirmation. It gives us the power that we need to profess our faith boldly. And the New Testament uses several words for the Holy Spirit. Paraclete is one of them, which we often translate it comforter. Well, I like to translate it as a defense attorney. The Holy Spirit is our defense attorney to always stand by us when we need him, and he'll get us off the hook when we're guilty. He will see to it that we all do profess our faith boldly. So the Holy Spirit is comforter, consoler. He is the third person of the Trinity, who gives us the strength and the power always to profess the true faith. And he empowers this community, which we call the church, to always proclaim Christ's truth authentically. All that we celebrate on Pentecost, which is the conclusion of the Easter season. All during the Easter season, we have burned the Paschal candle representing the risen Christ. And finally, on Pentecost, we extinguish the Paschal candle, the Easter candle, and it burns again. Funerals, as a because we remember that Christ risen from the dead, will raise this one. And baptisms, because we remember we die with Christ in baptism, we arise in newness of life. And after that, it's a symbol. When we extinguish the Paschal candle, the Easter candle, it is a sign the mystery is completed. So when we began preparing for Easter by Lent and Passiontide, we celebrated the sacred Triduum. Then we began the Easter season. The Easter season has lasted through his ascension, and now 50 days later, that's the climax. The Holy Spirit has descended. Now it's up to us to remember we are the church, and we must be his witnesses to the world.